Hello boys and girls, this is Mrs. Hines, and today we're going to do number of the day. Parents, for those of you who are watching and listening, this is a great tool to teach and reinforce number sense to your children. I do this daily in my classroom and have found it very beneficial in their learning process. So our number of the day today is going to be 45. I want you to pause the video so that it will give you a chance to complete the number of the day, and then press replay and we'll go over the answers together. Okay, so I hope you had a chance to finish. Now let's go over the answers together and see how you did. Remember, if you get something wrong, it's okay to change it. And remember that we learn from our mistakes, especially in math. So 45 is our number of the day. How many digits is the 45 made of? You're right, 2 digits. Which of those digits is in the tens place? You're right, the 4 is in the tens place. And in the tens place, that 4 has what value? You're right, 4 tens, which is 40. Now, which digit is in the ones place? You're right. The 5 is in the ones place. And in the ones place, that 5 is worth how much? You're right, 5 ones, which is worth 5. So within the number 45, we have 4 tens, which is 40, and 5 ones, which is 5. 40 plus 5 is 45. Now let's look at our number of the day as we mentally add and subtract 1. So remember, when we are adding and subtracting ones, we're looking at adding groups to the ones place or subtracting groups from the ones place. Right now in the number 45, we know there are 5 ones, and this equation is asking us to add 1 more to that group. So now we have 6 ones, 4 tens, which is 46. 45 plus 1 is 46. Now let's look what happens when we subtract 1 from that group. If we start with 5 ones in that group, and they want us to take one of those ones away, now there are only 4 ones in that group. And remember to keep those 4 tens. So 45 minus 1 is 44. Now let's look what happens when we take our number of the day and we subtract and add 10. 45 plus 10. That's telling us that they want us to add a 10 to the tens place. In the number 45, we started with 4 tens. If we add 1 more group of tens, now we have 5 groups of tens and 5 ones, which equals 55. 45 plus 10 is 55. Now let's look what happens when we are subtracting a group of tens. In the number of the day, 45, we know that we have 4 tens. They want us to take one of those groups away. So now we have 3 tens, and don't forget those 5 ones that we started with. So 45 minus 10 is 35. Good job if you got those correct without me giving you the answer. If not, I bet you'll get it next time. Now let's think about whether this number is odd or even. When we're deciding whether a number is odd or even, we look at the digit that's in the ones place. If the digit in the ones place is an odd digit, a 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, we know that that number is an odd number. In this case, in the ones place, we have a 5. And we know that 5 is an odd number. So the number 45 is an odd number. Now we're going to be counting forward and backward by tens. I like to put my number of the day right in the middle. And that gives you practice counting forward by tens and counting backward by tens. Remember, when we count forward by tens, we're adding tens to the tens place, so it becomes a pattern. 45 plus 10 is 55. We knew that from up here when we added 10 to 45. 45 plus 10 is 55, plus 10 more is 65, plus 10 more is 75. 4 tens, 5 tens, 6 tens, 7 tens. Do you see the pattern? Okay, now we're going to count backwards by tens, which means we are taking a 10 from the 10 group. 45 minus 10, 35. Minus 10 more, 25. Minus 10 more, 15. 4 tens, 3 tens, 2 tens, 1 10. Do you see the pattern? Great job if you did that correctly without my help. Now we move to the back of the number of the day. 45 is our number of the day. I'm going to put that back up at the top. And we're going to draw the picture of 45 using our base 10, flats, rods, and units. Flats represent our hundreds place, rods represent our tens place, and units represent our ones place. So in the number 45, we know that we have 4 tens and 5 ones. 4 tens are represented with 4 rods. 5 ones is represented with 5 units. Good job if you got that correct. Writing it in word form can be tricky, but it just takes practice. 45 is going to be a hyphenated word. 40, F-O-R-T-Y, hyphen 5, which is a magic E word. 45. It gets a little tricky when we go down to decomposing 45. Remember, there's easy ways to do it and there's hard ways to do it. Because this is our first time doing number of the day, we're going to do it in an easy way. We're going to break it into tens and ones, which we did on the front side of number of the day. 45, I believe, can be decomposed into a 40 and a 5. But just to make sure that I'm right, I'm going to check my decomposition with an addition problem. My part and my part should add up to my whole if it is correct. So I'm going to add my part and part together. My first part being 40, my second part being 5. In any vertical equation, remember we always add the ones place first. Always. 0 ones plus 5 ones gives us 5 ones. 4 tens plus 0 tens here give us 4 tens. So I know my part and my part equaled my whole. Therefore, my decomposition was correct. All right, for those of you that have played with hundreds chart puzzles, my students love them. This is a pretty basic one, and this helps us add and subtract tens and ones in our head, and we call that mental math. 45 can go anywhere on this puzzle, but I like to start with putting it in the middle. When we go up on the numbers chart, we're subtracting 10. When we go down on the hundreds chart, we are adding 10. When we go to the right on the hundreds chart, we add 1. And when we go to the left on the hundreds chart, we subtract 1. So 45, if we take a 10 away, we now have 35. 45, if we add another 10, we have 55. Now we're going to add and subtract 1. 45, if we add 1, we have 46. And if we subtract 1, we have 44. So you have just solved a hundreds chart puzzle. Great job. The very last part of my number of the day, I like to use for mental math. So even though it's going to be written as an equation, I like to make sure that my students are completing these equations using mental math in their head. It shows them that even when we see equations, it still means that one of the strategies that we can use is mental math. 45 plus 10, we know is 55. We've done several things on our number of the day today that prove that. 45 plus 20 is going to be adding another 10. So we have 45, 55, 65. 45 minus 10, we know from the front, is 35. But now we're going to subtract two groups of 10, which is 20. So 45, 35, 25. That completes our number of the day lesson for the day. I hope that you got more problems right than you did before. And if you didn't, I'm sure you're going to learn for the next time. Great job!